What's up, YouTube? This is Todd Horst here with Tasty Tracker. Today we're going to talk about day trading examples. So I'm going to go over the trades I made today, just a couple quick ones, and I'll actually show you in Thinkorswim what I did. So let's get started. First, I wanted to have a little spiel on just process evolution. I think there are a lot of people who, they're probably just getting started, but it seems like they're really following what other people are doing a little bit too much, and they're not evolving their own style. They're just kind of grasping for straws. They're going around from guru to guru, trying to figure out what is the best to do. And again, there's nothing wrong with that per se, but you really need to make the process your own and search for how you want to trade, and by coming up with some theories and testing those theories out yourself. If you're doing too much of what everybody else is doing, I think you can never really implement somebody else's trading style as good as they are. So even if they are successful, it's usually not going to work out the same for you. Maybe it will, who knows. But anyway, so I have some examples of some things that I've changed. So I started off holding losers, and then I've moved over to closing out and accepting that that's a loser and cutting my losses. And so basically how that worked was, before I would look at the chart and say, what do I think it's going to do tomorrow? If it looked in my favor, I would hold it. If it didn't, I would still close it then. But a lot of times it looked like it could go in my favor. Well, we all know that going up and down is 50-50, and so half the time I was right, half the time I was wrong. But the thing is, because we're trading such a short duration, to have the biggest increase, the theta, which is the time decay, was way too strong. So even if something moved the way I wanted it to the next day, I would still end up losing. So now I cut my losses. I used to, no matter what day of the week, I would trade the expiration for this Friday. So Monday through Friday, I would trade on Friday. Now, you can't do that on Robinhood. You can't trade the same day as the expiration, but basically any other broker will allow you to do that. So I've moved now to Monday through Wednesday. I trade this week's expiration, and Thursday and Friday I trade next week's. So the downside is that Thursday and Friday are a bit slower moving because the expiration is so far away, or relatively far away. But the plus side is that it gives you more time to react. So on Thursday or Friday, if I had a position that was working, I would make a huge gain, and that would be great. But if it went against me, it basically would go to zero in a matter of a minute. And so there's no time to react. There's no volume there to get your losing position. And then you're just praying that by some miracle, the stock goes back in your favor. And of course, that never happens. So moving it out to next week's expiration makes it less erratic, and it can still move against you, but it's not going to move nearly as fast. And it won't go to zero. It'll stay, it'll still have some value because of that time, extrinsic value. So anyway, in previous videos I said about using 1 day, 1 minute charts, and I've gotten away from that and started using 1 day, 5 minute charts, or a 5 day, 5 minute. Now with the 5 minute, you lose some of the charting patterns that you would see on the 1 minute chart, but you also get rid of a lot of the noise, so you can see the larger trend a lot easier and not get caught up by a candle or two that's going in a direction and it's misleading. So anyway, so stepping back a little bit helps you see a better view of what's happening. Now, I do know a bunch of people use the 50-minute chart. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but who knows, maybe I'll step it up. I actually think I might drop it down a little bit to a 3 or 4 minute chart, but we'll see. I'll play around with what I like best. The next thing is just a whole spiel unto itself, is just tracking what you're doing, whether that's a paper diary or you're using my website. It's the reason I wrote the website, is so you can track each individual trade, what you were thinking, not just your entry and exit, but you really need context around that. And and then I have a diary that's more global, if you want to say it that way. So it's all the thoughts for the day. I'll think about all the positions I did and throw that into my diary so I can evolve not just on the micro level, but on the macro level as well. But again, whether you're using my site or somebody else's or just paper or Excel or whatever, you need to review your trades, think about each one, and stare at the chart. You know, um, experiment with different methods and ideas on what you think would have worked better. I do say get a mentor. Now, I don't really mean copy everything somebody else is doing, because again, I don't necessarily think that always works out well, because your entry times are going to be different, and your style is going to be different. You really need to take ownership of your trading, because someday that guru is going to go away, and if you didn't learn their process and how to make decisions before they made those decisions, then you're going to be lost without them. And similarly, you need to be able to find your own process, because if things change in the future, and again, if they left or something and you need to evolve into a different style, you haven't worked those muscles to come up with your own styles. On the flip side, it is good to have a mentor to see that, yes, it is profitable to do things this way or that way, and to learn just general traits. And I'd say probably the biggest thing I've learned from my mentors is their patience and their confidence, their ability to enter into a position, even if it looks like it's going against them. They know from their experience that that it'll work out. And again, that's not to say you should just hold on to losers with the hope. I'm just talking about their experience there has shown them that this indicator or this setup works well for them. But anyway, so to find those mentors, you might be thinking, where do you even get hooked up with these people? Discord is a chat room, basically, that gamers use, but there's a lot of options and stocks Discord channels, and same with Reddit. Reddit's not necessarily a chat room, I guess. It's not real time, but there are options and stocks groups on Reddit. They're called subreddits. So anyway, they have a lot of good and bad information on there. Some of it's just silly, crazy plays. Some of it is educational. But no matter what, I think it's good to see what other people are doing and make your own decisions on what works and what doesn't, what sounds like a good idea, how you could improve on something, or how you could make something your own. The biggest key here, though, is to start off slow and with a small amount of money that you can lose, because chances are when you're evolving your process, you're trying something new, you are going to lose while you're discovering what works and what doesn't work. So really don't beat yourself up if you're not successful at first. It does take time and practice, and again, day trading is an art, and you have to continually work and learn from your mistakes in order to become successful. It's not something that you can necessarily explain or even teach to somebody. It's just something that you kind of have to learn yourself and struggle through and get pointers from people, but it's something that you have to do on your own journey. And I definitely don't think you should pressure yourself. If you're trying to pay a specific bill or get rich overnight, or just have some goal by the end of the week, those are all good things to want to do. And it's not bad to set a goal, obviously. But if you put too much pressure to achieve those goals because you have financial issues or whatever, it's really going to come back to bite you, and you're more likely to have more losers because you're putting pressure and rushing entries and doing positions that you wouldn't have done if you were thinking clearly and being a robot without emotion. So kind of two examples there are entering too early. So any given day, if you enter in at 9:32, you'll get in before, most likely, there's a big move in your favor. But the flip side of that is you're going to have bigger losers. So and typically speaking, the losses outweigh the gains. So you're not even treading water. So the key there is to not enter in too early into the day where you before you can identify with certainty where the stock is heading for the day. And then the next thing here is entering too fast. So that's if you're having a FOMO or a fear of missing out, and you're seeing a big move happen in front of you. It's not necessarily a good idea to just jump right in, because chances are the prices are inflated because it's moving quickly, and so you'll end up getting into a position that you paid way too much for, and even if it's moving the direction you need it to go into, because you paid too much, you won't even break even, or you'll just break even. So you really have to be insistent on getting the bid price or as close to the bid price as you can. Obviously, if you're putting in the bid as a limit buy, and it's not filling, and it's not filling, and it's not filling, then sure, increase your limit. But definitely don't do a market order, and don't just jump in because you're afraid of missing that opportunity. There's obviously the rest of your life to make money, so don't jump in too quickly. So I have a couple examples here. Sorry, my wife. I have Qualcomm, McDonald's, Tesla, and Microsoft. And so then I have all the purchase prices. So Qualcomm I paid 173 at 937. I closed it out at 140 at 1044. So that was a minus $33 or minus 19%. And so McDonald's, I made $10. Tesla, I made $40. Microsoft, I lost 22. The interesting point about all of these examples is you can see at the bottom there, my total loss was $5 and commission, so it was over $5 for the day. At one point, I was up over $75. But I'm testing out my new theory, and I was trying to hold these as long as I could to push profits. And then, even though my entrance and my picks were all correct, I did not sell in time, and there was an $80 swing from 75 plus to -5. So it's really every step of the process you need to be working on. But anyway, I will go over the next couple slides, and then I'll jump into the actual chart. For this, I risked $647. Okay, so closing remarks here. I do have everything in the description. Comment if I forget something or you have any questions. Definitely like the video if you could. That helps the YouTube algorithm. I do have a year's worth of videos, so again, if you comment and have any video ideas, that's cool. But if not, I have a video that I will release every Friday for at least the next year. And my website is Tasty Tracker. It's only $9.99 a month. And it's for tracking all your stocks and options trades, and a diary, which, again, I can't stress enough how important this is if you want to be successful. Okay, and the last thing, obviously, is this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Okay, so let's go over to Qualcomm. I have my whole watch list over here, which is the ones I like to day trade, and they were from the previous video, most of those, but you're welcome to, again, have your own watch list set up. You don't want to be watching too many stocks, so the goal here is not to watch every stock that is on the market. Obviously, you want to become familiar with these and know how they trade and trade them frequently. So I'm familiar with the charts for all of these, and I'm not really looking to add any more tickers to this. I do have a couple indexes that I trade that aren't on this list, but anyway, so we'll start off with Qualcomm. So I can actually maximize the sell here. And so at 9:37, I entered in. Right now I'm on the 5-minute chart. So 9:37 is going to be somewhere in the second candle. And I see that the first candle and the second candle are both green. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Too far. There we go. Okay. So I see the first two candles are green. I see on the MACD that not only is it green, but it's actually increasing. in strength, so this move's got legs. I don't really care about the RSI so much at this point. And really, I don't use the RSI that much in day trading anymore. I probably should remove that indicator. But anyway, and then I see that at this point, Qualcomm was actually up on the day, and it did close that way. But at this point in the day, it was up. So somewhere in the second candle here, I purchase a call, and I was waiting for the MACD to lose steam, and it did here. So at 10:44 is when I actually sold. That's the whole way out here. But once it came down to these two candles, it basically had turned on me pretty significantly. So I think the lesson here that you need to take away is once you see it maxing out and losing steam, ideally I would have sold somewhere in here in the 950 candle. But I waited too long because when you're just looking at the chart, the MACD generally looks like you can hold it till it goes longer, but in practice the options decrease in value enough because the people are seeing that it's losing steam. So you just need to be one step ahead of them. So at 9:55, somewhere in there, I saw that I was down on the position, and again, I was up on all four of these positions today. They were all positive at one point or another by pretty substantial. Once it started losing money, and then especially by this candle, there's basically no return after that. But I continually through this process continued to lower. So at first here, I'm just trying to break even. And then as time goes on, I'm lowering and lowering and lowering my value to try to get out with the least amount of a loss I can have, so minimize my losses. So chances are I'm not looking for Qualcomm to just plummet. Again, it's green on the day, so it's a little unlikely that it's going to completely drop. So if I wanted to just get out right away, I could have done that. But I do think there's some reason to hold on and just slowly inch your way down to try to get as much back as you can. Obviously, if things are really going quickly, then just get out. But okay, so anyway, next one is McDonald's. Here again, for McDonald's, I got in at 9:39. So I bought some puts here. There's a very clear trend. Again, it's down on the day overall, but at this time it was down as well. There are two full red candles, and if you're looking at the MACD, it's increasing in strength. And so here again, I sold at 10 o'clock. So if we go to 10, now I wait till after this candle because sometimes there's going to be the market's going to regroup itself to think about whether it wants to continue going down or go up. And then with this candle, I see that on the MACD, the red is a darker red. It's losing its momentum. And of course, you can tell that by the candle as there's a big green stick. So this is the bottom, or what is going to be the bottom for a significant portion of the day. So that's when I go ahead and close that position. And that one was a profit. Okay, next one. Tesla. Tesla I entered at 9:42. So it's right around here. And again, by this point, we have three big red candles. The MACD is showing that it's still fairly strong. And I didn't get out till 10:05. So, I mean, you can see this isn't some crazy move. It actually looks like it's fairly flat. But I ended up making $40 on that play because I waited to confirm that it was going to be down on the day, and that it had legs. And again, you can see that it was down on the day overall. Okay, next one. Microsoft. Microsoft was a tricky one. I didn't enter it till 9:50, which normally I don't like to enter anything after like 9:45. So I was questioning whether I was going to do it or not, but you can see the candle here at 9:45 was a huge green candle, and it sort of looked like we could get something similar to this line that I just drew here, at least for a little while, and then maybe cap off right here. So that's not an uncommon type of move. But you can see these first two candles don't line up. So again, normally this is sort of breaking my rules, and it's also red on the MACD, again, breaking my rules. And then it was too late. So this didn't end up being a terrible play or anything, and had I timed this correctly, it wouldn't have been so bad. But I didn't exit till 10:45, which is the whole way out here. And I had bought calls somewhere 9:50, somewhere in here. Okay, so I'm thinking that it's going to continue up, and then almost immediately after I bought it, it had hit its limit for the day. Let me remove that line. Okay, so then of course I'm drawing lines as to see whether we're going to get an ascending triangle here or break down through that, and we break down through, and then it basically stays in this range all day. So even though it was green on the day and there were two green candles here, I don't personally like to trade that way. I'm looking at the first two candles of the day, not necessarily two candles in a row. And I didn't like the MACD on here. I should have stuck to my guns. And again, this wasn't a big loss or anything, but I broke some of my rules. And let's see, what was that? Microsoft. Yeah. So I ended up losing $22. So if I would have not just made that play and just done my original 3 plays, that's $22 I could have saved right there. But again, I was up on the play for a little bit while we were in this zone, and I could have just closed it out. And instead, I was waiting for the MACD to get a bigger green candle here. Again, hoping that it would continue its way up on this bottom line here that I'm highlighting. And of course, we can see it broke through. Once it breaks through, at that point, I'm looking to sell. Now, I didn't end up getting it closed till 10:45. But once it broke through, that's when I started the process of lowering my limit sell $1 or $2 at a time, trying to not lose the entire position and get it back as much money as I can, but at the same time not taking too much time that I end up losing everything. So anyway, yeah, those are the trades I made today. If you have any questions about that, obviously you can see I am not a guru. I lost $5 today, but everybody loses money at some point. So hopefully you can learn from some of my mistakes. Anyway, thanks and have a good day. Bye.